No, relax. You can just stay at the distance. Yeah, come on. Like sort of conversationally, conversational stuff. Yeah. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Tunde. Um, Today on the channel, I'm going to be having a discussion with my friend Francis. Um, we're both residents in Canada, and today we're just going to be talking about um, life as immigrants in a different country. Um, he's been here in Canada for how long?
I think almost 3 years now.
Getting to 3 years. So he's like my senior senior here. So he's just going to be walking us through his journey as an immigrant, and I hope you guys enjoy the video and have like excellent takeaways from it. So my guy, Offer, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So just tell us about yourself, your family, and your relocation story.
Okay, yeah, my name is Francis, and I came into Canada in 2023, I think 3rd June, if I'm not mistaken. I'm so great with dates. But I think that's when we came in. We came into Vancouver specifically, and this was just barely after getting married in Nigeria. So I got married in,
How long were you married before coming?
yeah, I got married in April 2022.
April 2022.
So it's just been like 1 year.
So like a year plus before you
Yeah.
moved to
And
Canada.
then we moved to Canada. We came as my wife came in as a student, and I came in with a work visa, just very
Okay.
similar to yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, we came found ourselves here, and it's been a wonderful journey. I would say I have a background as a software engineer, and before then I studied mechanical engineering, which I don't exactly practice. I practice software engineering. So
Oh. Fun fact: we actually went to the same school.
yep,
I think he was 1 year my senior, and his wife is actually my classmate.
fun
So
fact.
yeah, and another fun fact is that I think we've never actually spoken until we got to Canada.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is awesome, by
Yeah,
the way.
in
I
the
think
same college.
yes, I think it worked out quite well because I think he was in mechanical engineering
Yeah.
and I was in electrical. So you're here with your wife.
Yes.
Yeah, and so your relocation story. Why did you decide to come to Canada, or you
Good
just wanted to leave
question.
Nigeria?
It's all together. There are many reasons. Usually, if you only have one reason to come to a country, I think it's not good. There's no reason. For me, I think it won't be a restriction enough. So there are many factors that had to come together to say, okay, I think Canada is the place. Um, was one was the immigration route, because it was pretty easier.
Other countries.
Yeah, compared to other countries, Canada was kind of easier. And also it was school. My wife really wanted to go to school, and we didn't want to school in Nigeria actually. So we genuinely were looking for a school for her, and then we thought of different schools to try different places, and but we felt Canada was also a good place to school. And yeah, but generally it was all about the long term vision. So when you finish school, what's the plan? Is there a plan to be able to stay in that country, because you don't want to spend money and go to school and then just go back to your country, back in Nigeria?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah, because immigration policies across the world, especially in the US, is becoming more stricter,
yeah.
especially for students
Yeah.
after school. They have
Yep. Yep.
to leave their country and distance.
Exactly.
That's nice. So currently in Canada, how would you say? How would you rate your journey so far? Like, has Canada been everything you thought it would be so far? Has it been everything you thought it would be, or were you expecting more? And given the choice, would you have stayed back in Nigeria?
Oh yeah, I would say Canada has been it. It's been exactly what I thought it would be. Although it took time to be it, but eventually it is. Usually, as a tech person, your dream, most tech people, your dream is to work at Silicon Valley or close to Silicon Valley, right? Canada was that intermediary point because most tech companies that are really funded, that do like really great tech stuff, are here in North America, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And yeah, Vancouver is just from my house to to the US, but it's like 10 minutes drive, right? So we're kind of very close to the US, and it's um, it's it's been it's been everything a tech person would want in in their journey. You are in a very calmer place than the US. I would say you are basically getting almost the same thing as you would in the US. And in terms of immigration, yeah, it's Canada has kept their promises, and it's a very peaceful, calm, safe, serene place. So yeah.
There's this saying among immigrants that like no matter where you go, Europe or Canada, like the US is ultimately the goal. Do you agree with that?
Lie.
Because I think the thing is obviously salaries in the US are better. Um, uh, like the
Yeah,
US is basically where dreams go to be achieved, right?
yeah.
So if you're going to the UK or you're coming to Canada, you're just trying to get your foot in then
Mm-hmm.
before moving to the US. And there's been a lot of like mass immigration out of the UK and Canada into the US.
Yeah, so for me, I don't see it personally, like I said, I don't see it that way because you get to earn so much in the US and then you get to spend much more, right? Sometimes, so it doesn't, in the end, balance up, like it doesn't now make sense for
Is
you.
that because of tax or what do you mean?
Taxes, healthcare, it's
Or
a lot,
healthcare in the US is atrocious,
right?
right?
So, and then here we have free healthcare, right? Um, yeah, so you just get the money and then you basically just blow it on, yeah, any little thing, everywhere you turn, there's something taking a huge chunk of that money out. So I think it's yeah, US used to be in my mind used to be the dreamland, but right now I don't think it is exactly for especially for tech folks. It's best you work in the US, but from outside the US. That would be the
Yeah,
holy.
that's a very easy.
That's the holy grail. So
That's cool. That's nice. To what extent do you think coming into Canada has affected your relationships with your family members and especially with your wife? And like, to what extent do you think immigration affects family relationships? Because for for myself, I would say um, it keeps parents very busy. I came into
mm-hmm.
Canada with my wife and two children, and if not for this long weekend we've had, I don't remember a time where I and my wife have like had 2 hours to ourselves to sit and like really
Yeah,
chat about something.
yeah.
Like most times, as soon as I'm stepping through the door from work, she's heading out to
That's from
work.
work.
Sometimes I
Yeah.
have to like cut work short to pick the kids up from school,
Uh-huh.
and so I think it's just there's always something to do, right? So
Yeah.
there's not really time to like
Yeah.
have like spend time with your family, just
Yeah.
chill. And
Yeah.
most times I'm always grateful for this holiday. So how do you think like immigration affects family relationships?
That's that's one piece of immigration that you have to be very deliberate about because whether you like it or not, this is a different system from where we're coming from. In Nigeria, you have a bit of liberty to do a lot of stuff at your pace. Especially for me, I worked remotely in Nigeria, and then yeah, with remote work, you're basically at home 24/7. And yeah, my wife at the time too was at home, so we really had time to ourselves. But once you come to a system like this, where you basically your annual rent in Nigeria, your 1 year rent is like your 2 weeks rent here, right? You have to double your hustle, and then everybody has to put their foot on the ground. So you have to be very deliberate about time management. Um, put you have to put deliberate time. If you say this is games night, it has to be games night. If you say this, you have to. There's no time waiting for you to sit down and chill with your family. There's no time, like you said, holidays. But even the holidays, sometimes there's always something to do. right? Say I was on holiday, we're shooting a video,
Like
right?
today is a holiday and my wife's working.
You see, and saying she's working on holidays, and so it's you have to be deliberate. So in terms of relationship with my family, when we came in, my wife was a student and I was a worker and I was working from home. It was a bit easier because I'm always at home. She comes back, she meets me at home, and of course I didn't know so much people here, so I wasn't going out or going anywhere. So that is a rare case where the husband doesn't need to go out every
It's
day to
actually
work.
very rare, man.
Yeah, it's a
It's actually
very
very
rare
rare.
case, and I'd say we're blessed with that, right? Even till now, I still work at home, but that's not an ideal situation. The ideal situation is people go out at different times, and you guys have kids, and then it becomes the kids again become play a
Yeah.
big role. So whatever you do, you have to put a time. You have to set just like how you say, "But I set an alarm and I wake up by this time." Same thing, you have to set this time out and say nothing happens on this day, and your wife too has to be deliberate to say this time, no matter the money I'm going to get, I have to sacrifice it and say this day we just something has to be sacrificed to get that chunk of time out, and that's why these white people here they don't joke with holidays, right? They don't.
Oh, they like
They
holidays,
like
you know.
holidays and
It's like,
very
because
serious with it.
from Friday at work, most people are taking Mondays off, so they
Yeah,
don't have to come in and have
exactly,
like four full days.
exactly.
What you're describing is like it's like from maybe in a perfect world where the man has to work from home and the
Yeah,
woman
that's
has to go out and
very ideal.
listen. But
It's
like I would say, especially for husband and wife, it's there's bound to be like very wide gaps between them.
mm,
If the man's working and the woman's working and they
mm-hmm,
have kids,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm talking mostly for husband and wife
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
relationship. But
yeah,
there's bound to be that bridge, that gap. After some time, you find out that you have to be they're very deliberate. Like my wife and I, we decided that um like at night, like if even if we didn't have the whole day to ourselves, at night from like 7 to like 9, we would like see
mm-hmm,
a movie together or watch like a series
mm-hmm,
together,
mm-hmm,
whatever series we're watching,
mm-hmm,
at least 2 3 episodes together with
mm-hmm,
nothing
mm-hmm,
in between. And that's just because I think it's just because we found out that we're spending so much time planning
mm-hmm,
everything else, planning what the day was going to be like,
mm-hmm.
planning how we take it. We're spending so much time planning everything else. We didn't really have time to
Yeah,
be
exactly.
a husband and a wife, to
Mm-hmm,
be a couple, to be
mm-hmm,
friends, and so
mm-hmm.
I think it takes a lot of deliberate effort,
True, true.
yes, to foster that relationship between
Yeah,
husband and wife.
yeah. But whatever you do, you have to plan it. It doesn't. It can never just happen on its own. You have to be like ready, even if it's the little things. Like I keep telling people, especially very beautiful British Columbia, you can never finish British Columbia in 10 years. There's
Oh, it's a
a
very big
lot
province. It's
to
really big.
keep seeing every other week, right? So yeah, it's just
Yeah,
something deliberate.
but it still brings you back to that dangerous circle because you have to work to afford the holidays,
Yep.
and to afford the holidays you have to work. So it's just
Yeah,
so
that's
I
the
guess something has to
vicious
give.
cycle. Yeah, yeah.
Something has to give. The next thing I wanted to ask was, if not Canada, who else? Have you ever thought about it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, we had, like I said, we researched, we had multiple options. Just before coming to Canada, we actually spent 6 months or so in the UK with family, and it would have been the UK for us if we were going to go through the Global Talent Visa
Okay.
track. So that was the plan B. Although I still have my reservations with the UK for a tech person, it's not as though they had like those tech jobs a lot there and then they
Oh,
pay well. But
The UK is it's not
yeah,
it's crap when it comes to tech.
exactly.
Just end up doing care work or something.
Exactly. You just end up doing care work. So it's that was my reservation. Those are some of the reasons were like, nah, even if we had family there, Canada was the other better alternative. Yeah.
Well, for me, I've always been fascinated with Europe, especially Northern Europe.
Okay.
Um, I wanted to I wanted to go to Finland. I Yeah, I wanted to go to Finland. I did apply. I applied for a job, a work visa in Finland. I was taking Finnish classes, and I was taking Finnish classes, I think I was doing very well. I was doing well at it. I got to B2 or B3 in my finish. I was applying to finish classes, and then the month before the visa would come out, I think they made some changes to their immigration. So the program was no longer open to people outside of Europe. It was only open to
Oh,
Europeans. So that was how we didn't get that. But I was always fascinated with Northern Europe, especially Scandinavia, like Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark. I liked like their way of life. It was very chill. Listen,
very
so
relaxed,
yeah, very
like in the
relaxed,
movies.
and they had like their tech sector was not that huge, but it was bubbling. Like yeah, like and they were like very open to like immigrants coming in and like having good jobs as long as you had the skill set. So I liked Northern Europe. I didn't like the UK. I think I never considered the UK
Oh, okay.
in all my immigration journey from Nigeria. I never considered the UK. I hoped to go to the US at some point, but it was Northern Finland for me. Northern Europe for me actually. Being in Canada, how would you say like being here has like propelled you towards your dreams? Being in Canada.
Okay. One thing about Canada is that it is multicultural, multiracial, and that means you have like from different backgrounds. So it's like a truly international country. That makes sense. So you get to work with people from different parts of the world. I have people from the UK in my office. I have people from India, Pakistan, everywhere. Um, and so it's first of all gives you that global mindset. I've always wanted to have a global mindset, and just on your daily, you're already approached with situations that make you think you know globally. Um, that's one. Secondly, you have fundings. For me, I like business, and I want to do my business in a global. I want to create a global business, global brand, and there's a lot of support from the government here, a lot of funding. So that also propels my vision. I've not yet really tapped into it, but when I'm ready, the government's gonna see me, right? So I'm still settling down, right?
Yes.
But yeah, I'm also making those, you know, and just making you global. When you get the passport, you can visit any country. Just putting you, making you unlimited. If that makes sense, it's the opportunity you
Just
get.
not as restrictive as having a Nigerian
Yeah,
passport.
yeah. It's one
I
of
think
those things.
I think that's good. Someone like me, I'd very much appreciate the Canadian passport because one incident that actually like really gingered me to want to leave Nigeria was my wife and I went to Mauritius for our third wedding anniversary. We went to Mauritius, and then when we got to customs, and then we were seeing like Germans going through, Canadians going through, the US going through, and then as soon as it got to Nigeria, and then they just took us to the side, and then they were just searching our things, scattered my underwear on the floor, everything, and I'm like, I'm like, is it like because of the color of my skin or what exactly? And then I saw like a black US citizen go through, and I say, oh, okay, it's not the skin. The color of the skin is actually the passport. The color of the passport. So I think being here, being here is like a giant leap towards just having that independence, um, and also like putting you in front of a lot more
Of
opportunities.
course,
Putting
of
you in
course,
front of a lot more opportunities. I think that's
of
that's
course.
a very big one because um, in Nigeria, no matter how talented you are, it required you needed a bit of grace from God. Aside like being skillful, you needed
Yeah,
that grace,
yeah.
or you needed
It
to
has
know.
to be.
There were just like a lot of moving parts for
Yeah.
you to be able to succeed in Nigeria compared to being here, and that's a lot. That's saying a lot actually. Um, being here in Canada, how has it been adapting to like the church, like adapting to like religion here, especially since we're both Christians, we attend the same church. Um, coming to Canada, how would you say it has affected your relationship with the church? Because for me personally, I think had to unlearn a lot of
Yeah.
things we grew up with in the
Yeah. Of
Nigerian church,
course. Yeah.
especially like commanding God to do something for you, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So, how would you say like being in Canada has
Yeah.
affected your relationship with the church? Because for some people, coming abroad has actually like made them see that okay, most of the things I used to
Really
pray
for
for, I
yeah.
think I don't really
Yeah.
need God to do
Yeah.
it for me.
Yeah.
So me and church,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't
It's
separate.
no good
So
song. I'll
so
say.
what's your take on that?
Yeah. So quick backstory on how first of all I landed in the church was we came in and we're not just church seeking anyhow. First came in. I think first month or so we just didn't go to church. We're at home and we're trusting God for a church, right? And one thing we already kind of knew at the back of our minds, also we saw this in the UK, we already knew that there is the aspect of Christianity that these white people are walking in or are practicing that it's way different from what we practice in Africa.
Oh, very
And
different.
and the reason why we do that mostly in Africa is because we see God as just Jehovah Jireh, the provider, and that's it. That's about it, you know. We go to him when we need stuff, we go to him when God you must save me now, you must, you know. That's largely what is in front of us because of the problems we have,
Yeah.
right? But that's not all about Christianity, you know. So when we're in the UK we saw it, and then coming here we're just like yeah, Lord, lead us to any church you want us to do. But mostly we wanted to go to a non, you know, black international church,
Church.
not
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
church
Yeah.
that's just maybe white or black or green, just international church that has different, you know,
Yeah.
multiracial, different cultures. That way you get to see, you know, the full picture, and then a lot of things make a lot of sense. And then a friend of ours just said to us, okay, there's this church, and then the first we attended, we never turned back. Now, few things that make me um, really appreciate the church gathering is the word of God. It's taught as is. It's not interpreted to a specific situation. It's taught properly. It's not. There's no special rema that always comes out from one very thick. There's one rema, then
Yeah.
they start interpreting
Yeah.
that, misinterpreting. Do you understand? You teach the word of God as is, and it's actually powerful as is. Don't help the word of God. So that's and there's fellowship. There's like you see people that truly care about people, that truly love people. There's communal fellowship. Somebody really cares about you, person really cares about you.
Mhm.
You're talking to people, and then there are a lot. These people are very sincere. So they say, oh, I'm struggling with cancer. You'll be like, in your church, somebody will die last week. They say, what killer? I say it's cancer. And you're like, cancer, why didn't you tell us? Do you understand? And the person and you see these people, they are very open and very caring, very loving, and all that stuff. And you also you start introspecting, like, am I even as I think I need to be better at this. I need to be better at this. And it's better calling and checking up on people. I need to be better
Yeah,
at
I think
you
there's
know
an aspect to their religion here is that they are too open. I
yeah.
don't know. I don't know. Maybe because of my Nigeria, they are too open for me.
Is
There
it too
was
bad? Is it very bad?
as at
Or they are doing it to an
some
extreme?
some weeks ago, I was speaking to somebody. I think I just met. It was a man and his wife or his girlfriend. I wasn't sure. I didn't really ask, but he just said this is so so. And so I assumed they were either married or dating. And the the lady was like, "Oh, hi, hi." I was like, "Oh, how are you doing? How was your weekend?" I think it was during the last holiday, and she was like, "Oh, I just checked into rehab for sex addiction," and I was like, "Ah, is this one like not too far?" I'm just knowing you. We just met each other. Like, let me understand first.
She's telling
But
the
I
truth
think,
for her.
but I think that's just how it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Like religion, their practice of religion here requires you wearing your heart on a sleeve. Like you don't really keep things to yourself. Religion is meant to like share faith, share love, and just grow together
Yeah,
in
yeah.
love and in grace. And so they pour out their hearts to you to probably encourage you to pray for them, keep them in your prayers, checking on them, and but
If you
like I said, coming from that
yeah,
Nigerian
if you pour that
background,
kind of heart in Nigeria, someone take advantage of you, and
just coming from that background, it was a bit weird for me. But I think it really opened my understanding to a lot of things to us.
Yeah.
Getting into how they practice practice religion here, practice Christianity here, and I think it's very good. It's very good.
Yeah, yeah. And me, it's also mostly about just the word of. I love the word of God, the way it's taught as is, and how to apply it in your daily life. Right? It's always a wonderful place to see the word of God being taught. Like you learn the history behind what you are reading in the Bible. You learn the word of God in the context of what you was taught.
Yeah.
So like the people that it was written to, what was
Yes.
the problem? What was
Yes.
the context?
Yes. Yes.
So we don't just carry it out of context and say this person said this because this and this. So it really is a holistic view on understand the word of God, and then it makes pure sense.
Another thing I've come to appreciate here is because I think sometimes religion thrives in the absence of like certain necessities of life. I think that's what it is in Nigeria. You lack cars, you lack good roads. You're praying for good road. You're praying for God to save you because the roads are not good. The
And
road is
just go
already
out
against
and
you. You understand? You're
and
praying. You're praying for a new car because even your 10 year salary cannot even afford a 10-year-old car. So when you see people that are actually practicing Christians here, it's out of genuine love for God. Like there was something that struck me coming here. I was saying like young people signing up to be missionaries. That was really mind blowing. Like how are you 22, 23 and you want to go to a remote land to serve God? And I found out that it's just out of a drive for God, that love for God, and it's not really because you need something from God or because you want God to do so, just out of that pure love for God. And it's really fascinating to see. It's really fascinating. And if you don't travel out of Nigeria, you won't really understand it, even if it's explained to you.
Yeah, you can't. You can't. There's no explaining. You have to experience it yourself. The atmosphere, the people.
It's alright. Sorry, open your phone. Let me get this part out. Okay. Well, the next thing I wanted to ask was, the next thing I wanted to ask is, ideally in a place like this, moving to a new country, given the economy and everything, ideally, how many kids do you think is okay to have in a place like this? Because I noticed when immigrants come in, especially like those who come in like on asylum or like get certain benefits from the government, they tend to have like a lot more children than people who come in to like
And
work and
suffer.
school and stuff.
Yeah.
So ideally, what do you think? What is your take on it? Are you what? How do you feel about like coming in here and like having a lot of children, given the current economy?
Yeah, I think first kids are always a blessing to have. The more you have, the more blessed you are. I would say doesn't mean they don't come in their own. You get, but it's all about in software engineering call it capacity planning. I think as you go, sometimes you will know your capacity. You start with one, and then do I have the capacity to go with second? But generally, I think here, from what I've heard, people the rule of thumb is three, two. If you are outstretching, it's usually four. Like normally, everybody's like two. I'm done.
Most have
Two,
said
two,
yes,
two,
three.
three. Yeah, they don't say three, and then they're done. But if you say someone that has four, it's like it's a big man.
If you want to step up,
Yeah,
you do four.
then you do four. A strong man. Okay. Then if something happen,
If you have been kissed by the gods, you do five.
Exactly. So yeah, it's usually around there. It's not like Nigeria we're doing 7 and 9 and 10. Yeah, here that's kind of it's capacity planning. It's all about how much. Now, don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean the government doesn't support you when you have kids. They support a lot. Like they give you monthly stipends for your kids till they're like is it 18 or whatever and all that stuff. They support you to have kids. But beyond just the support, you too also you have to check yourself like can you deal with.
But do you really want to roll that dice, have kids, and just hope the government will do? What if they cancel it? If they say they are not giving it,
right? So yeah, and there's free healthcare and all that and all that. So there's a lot of like things incentives to have more kids in this kind of place, especially considering the population of the country is very small. So there's a lot of incentives to have kids, but yeah, everyone's still planning. But black people here, I know when they come here, they can have like five. You don't need to be kissed by the god. The black man is thinking of his fifth kid, right? But yeah,
No, I think for me, I think three kids. It's okay. It's okay.
three.
Yeah, it's easier to plan for kids. I think the whole idea behind them having a limited number of children, maybe two or three, is it's easier to plan for them, plan for their schooling, plan for everything in such a way that they don't spend the rest of their lives paying off debts and whatnot. So it's easier to plan for them. But like I said, if the government is supporting you, you can have as many as you want.
Yeah, usually here the issue has always been post-secondary education because the government doesn't support for those. They support the primary school, secondary school free, but once you get into college, and then you say you want to be a dentist, and then for dentistry you're paying $500,000 to be a dentist. That's where there's problem. You have to do for like 3-4 kids, and then your father is thinking about his life at the end of the day. So yeah, I get that's tricky.
Yeah, that's great. So, what advice would you give any new immigrant, someone just moving into Canada today? What advice? What would you tell them? You said you're getting to your third year, I think. So, what would you tell them coming into Canada? You say, okay, this is if I could tell you, give you two pieces of advice. What would you say?
My biggest advice to anyone coming to Canada: advice one, advice two, advice three, advice four, advice five. If God did not send you, don't come. It's like that. If there's anything to take away from this video, just if you feel you're not 100% sure, spirit, soul, and body, that it was a nice move to come to Canada. It is time to move to Canada. Don't move, right? And the reason is because um, once you come here, everybody has different experiences when they come here. I know people that as they're landing here from day one, they were getting a job. They didn't never suffered. And people that suffered for like 1 year, like me, before everything.
Did you get a job until after 1 year?
Yeah, for me it was till December. So that's June, July, August, September, October, November, December. It's like 6 months.
Like 6 months.
Yeah,
Before
before
your first
I
job.
finally got my first job, and bills in that 6 months were like, for the kind of school that we came through and all that. So yeah, some people were like, I'm a tech, like me. I was already doing Canadian interviews before I came here. I was like, okay, I'm already doing interviews in Makodi for Canadian companies. Once I come here,
Once you come here, jobs on your feet.
it'll be easy, and then it wasn't, right? But of course, God saw me through the period. Always have second advice would be when you come, especially if you're a couple, maybe you come through, one comes through school, one comes through work permit. You cannot do it unless you work together. There is no way. You must work together. There's no way somebody will say, just you come together. You can't vex. You can't vex everybody. You vex and do what, bros?
And compared to the UK, where like couples fight and then you say you remove somebody from your sponsorship. In Canada, even if you divorce, you still have to take care of the person.
Exactly.
Or the person say, I'm okay now or something. Like even if a couple separates, the man is still responsible for the woman. I think that's very good.
Yeah, you have to work together. Also at least have a plan A and a plan B. What am I saying? Plan A is best case scenario, and plan B is second scenario. I won't call it worst case scenario, but once you come here, this is my plan A, and it's a solid plan A. I've looked at it and it will work. But if it doesn't work, what is my plan B? Do you understand? Always have a working plan B before you come. Let me stop being vague and give an example. You come here, it's like when I come here, in my situation, I was going to get a job. I was going to be able to whatever. I have a work permit. And if it doesn't come through, what will be your plan B? Like what is something else that you're quickly ready to start doing, pending when this main thing
Plan
comes.
works, yeah.
Do you understand? So always be ready to switch, and be ready to switch fast. Don't come and say that it must be this one. If it doesn't work, then
I die.
I die here, or I go back to my country. Right? So be ready to switch first, and then when you're ready, you come back to what you're doing. So always have it. But most people I know, that's kind of how it worked out for them.
Yeah.
Came here with plan A, but they ended up doing plan B, and then they're gradually moving, maybe
Yeah.
after a year or so, to plan A. So
Yeah, you probably just be versatile and give yourself a lot of grace. It's
yes,
not easy. Sometimes you get frustrated and say, in Nigeria, I used to drive big car and I used to do this well. But you must also think about the fact that probably okay, I moved here when I was 30. In
mm-hmm.
Nigeria, I had my house, had my car, had a car. My wife had a car.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty comfortable. Our kids were going to a good school. So it took us 30 years to
Mm-hmm.
put all that together, and then we want to come to Canada in 6 months or 1 year, and we
Exactly.
want everything. It's not.
Exactly.
You have to give yourself a lot
Yeah.
of grace,
Exactly.
especially in the first 1 year. Some even the first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself a lot of grace. Allow yourself
Mm-hmm.
to grow, to experience the culture, experience the country.
Exactly.
Just don't be too hard on yourself.
Yep.
Things eventually pan out because this is a place where there is no, as long as like your preparation meets the right opportunity, things would work
Mm-hmm.
out for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like where we're coming from, where like there are a lot of variables.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
there
Mm-hmm.
is one organ somewhere that
Yeah.
that wants to give that your job to his cousin. You
Yeah.
understand? There are
Yeah.
no variables in the air. It's just
Yeah.
as long as you're prepared, you got all the right skills, and the
Yeah.
opportunity comes.
Comes
There's like a
a high,
60 70
yeah,
percent
high
chance that
chance.
it works out for you. So
Exactly.
give yourself a lot of grace
Yeah.
in the first
And also community is very important. When you come to Canada, find one or two people that you'll be able to raise your hand when things get, tough, because there are also there are things that you don't know, and there are things that you don't know that you don't know,
yeah.
right? And there are people that have been here that will be able to say, oh, this is what you're thinking, but no, it's not actually like this, there's this opportunity, you can do it this way or whatever, right? So always have a community, find where it must not be Africans or Nigerians or black people. It could be
Yeah.
any community you feel comfortable with. It could
Yeah,
be a church
that's
community,
true.
it could be any community where you could easily find someone and say, hey, I need help. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I also want to use this opportunity to appreciate you and your wife, man. You guys have been very, very solid for my family, and I really appreciate you
Thank
guys.
God. Thank
You
God.
guys
I
are
appreciate
awesome.
it.
You guys are awesome. You've been like our backbone since we stepped in here. And
Thank God.
like I said, it's especially strange. His wife and I were like classmates, but we're not particularly close. I can't even count how many times we spoke in class, and him in particular, we never really had like a
Funny
chance
too,
to
I,
meet.
I never met my wife in the same school as well. So it's funny. I don't know that, yeah. And we all had common friends, right?
Yeah,
So we
we
had,
all had common friends. That's the
so,
funniest thing. But his wife and I have been really amazing, and I'm really grateful to God for them. And
thank
so
God.
thank you once again, my
No,
man.
no, no.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
God.
doing this. I know
Thank
you're
God for the
busy. Thank you so
opportunity.
much. I
No, no
appreciate it.
worries.
Thank you guys for watching the video. Do well to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.